If you have been trying to make sense of the latest Australia PR invitation outcomes, you're not alone. This round has left many applicants blinking at their screens, wondering how the system managed to deliver both good news and confusion at the same time. Whether your EOI has been quietly aging inside SkillSelect, or you have been checking for invitations with more dedication than your bank balance, this update will help you understand what actually happened, looking at how the latest round shook up the PR landscape. Let's dive in. Before jumping into the new data, here is a quick refresher on how SkillSelect works. Everyone hoping for a skilled independent visa, or the family-sponsored version of the skilled work regional visa, must lodge an expression of interest inside this system. When an invitation round occurs, the system ranks all active EOIs based on points. This includes age, English, qualifications, work experience, partner factors, and anything else the system can use to judge your value. The highest scoring EOIs get the first invitations. If two EOIs have the same points, the system checks which one reached that score earlier. Think of it like waiting in a queue. If you hit 85 points months before the next person reached 85, the system calls your number first. EOIs remain valid for 2 years, and you can update them whenever your circumstances change. This is the foundation of everything that follows. What's new in the latest invitation round? The most recent invitation activity has revealed a very clear pattern. In mid-November 2025, the department released another Skilled Independent 189 invitation round, adding to what had already been a surprisingly heavy cycle. By early December, publicly shared data showed that the 189 program had almost reached its entire yearly allocation. With roughly 16,900 places available for the year and more than 16,800 already issued, the program was practically at full capacity. Meanwhile, state-nominated visas and regional options such as the 190 and the 491 were also allocated places for the year, but their invitation numbers appeared far lower compared to the federal 189 stream. The contrast was especially visible when looking back at the August round, where nearly 7,000 invitations were sent to 189 applicants in one go. The same round offered only a small handful of family-sponsored 491 invitations, and the minimum score for receiving a 189 invitation at that time sat at 65 points. All of this paints a very straightforward picture. The department has pushed out a massive surge of 189 invitations this cycle, far more aggressively than many expected. The skilled independent stream has been the clear priority, and the available seats for it have almost completely disappeared. Anyone still waiting under this category may be watching the final moments of the allocation year, unless the government decides to open up extra batches. As for the 491 family-sponsored pathway, it is still active, but the volume of invitations is tiny in comparison, making it a much narrower route for applicants this year. Why lower point? Applicants sometimes get invited before higher scorers. One of the most confusing outcomes for applicants is when someone with a lower score gets invited before someone with a higher score. On social media and migration forums, people talk about this like it is a conspiracy. In reality, there are several simple reasons behind it, even if it feels unfair. Every occupation has its own demand level. The government may be desperate for particular skills. If your occupation sits in a category with higher need, your score matters, but it is not the only factor. People in trades or certain health roles have historically received invitations at lower scores simply because the country wants them urgently. Occupation ceilings also influence who gets invited first. If a certain profession reaches its annual cap quickly, further applicants in that group must wait until the next cycle, regardless of how strong their points are. Meanwhile, candidates in occupations far from reaching their ceilings may receive invitations with fewer points. The tiebreaker system plays a huge role. If two applicants have the same score, the one who reached that score earlier gets selected first. Many people increase their points later through new English results, added work experience, or updated qualifications. Although they may now have a high score, they joined the tiebreaker queue later than someone who updated earlier. As a result, the timeline of when your points increased can be as important as the points themselves. Finally, government priorities can change rapidly. A shift in the economy or labor shortages can push some industries to the front. When that happens, the system may invite lower scorers in targeted occupations, while higher scorers in less urgent fields wait for future rounds. So if you have been comparing your score with friends and feeling confused, the short answer was that the factors behind invitations go far beyond the total points. It is not personal, it is just the way the system is designed. Why state nomination still matters in this environment. Even though the skilled independent stream has received huge attention this year, state nomination is far from irrelevant. If anything, it has become even more important now that the federal allocations are nearly used up. Some states focus heavily on people already living and working there. Others emphasize specific industries or regions. Their allocations are separate from the main federal invitation rounds, which means that even when 189 invitations slow down, states often still have plenty of room left to nominate skilled migrants. This creates opportunities that many applicants overlook. If your occupation is not performing well in the federal pathway, or if your points are not competitive enough in a crowded occupation group, a state pathway may give you far better odds. States sometimes invite people with moderate points if the applicant meets local criteria, has lived in the region, or works in a job the state is actively targeting. There is another advantage. State nominations often give you additional points, which can lift your overall competitiveness. The state effectively tells the government that it wants you, which carries significant weight. For some people, this is the difference between waiting endlessly and finally moving forward. The main point is that focusing only on 189 can limit your chances. State nomination, whether through the permanent pathway or the provisional regional pathway, remains a major part of Australia's skilled migration system and offers a realistic alternative for many applicants. How this invitation round impacts your chances. The latest invitation results carry several implications for anyone with an active EOI. One of the first things you should consider is checking whether your EOI is up to date. Many people forget to add new work experience or updated English results, and those missing points can be the difference between getting invited this year or next year. Every improvement matters because even a small jump can shift your position in the tiebreaker queue. You should also think carefully about your strategy. If you have been relying entirely on the skilled independent pathway, and you are in a high competition occupation, it may be time to explore state nomination. With the federal allocation nearly fully used, the states still have room left in their programs, which means they may become the more active pathway going forward. Finally, manage your expectations with a realistic but hopeful mindset. The system is still moving, invitations are still flowing, but competition remains strong, and outcomes vary by occupation and timing. The best strategy is to stay informed, update your EOI whenever something changes, and position yourself where the opportunities are strongest.